veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no, I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capping space. I won't stop till I hear him say,
Hey there, welcome. I would say happy Monday, but I guess it's happy Tuesday today.
Yeah, I know.
How are you doing, Alex?
I'm doing good. We got an extra day of rest yesterday, so we're here today.
Yeah, well, so what happened with the football? Was it the New York Giants is your team, right?
Yeah, we fell to those bum Cowboys. We fell to them yesterday. It's a long season though. That was game number 3.
Game number 3. Okay, yeah, well, it is. It's a long season, and the season just started.
Yeah.
Let's welcome in our new member, Melda 242. Welcome in, Melda. Let's give you a hand clap and welcome to the A-Team family. Welcome. Thanks for
welcome,
joining
Melda.
us.
Welcome, Melda. And we got Edward Smart has jumped in here.
Yeah. Hey, Edward. How you doing? You all right?
The
Edward's
aviator.
He is. Edward Smart is got his own YouTube channel. So you guys, if you're into aviation, go ahead and go over there and check Edward Smart's YouTube channel out. It's very awesome channel. How's everybody else doing? But we're going to go ahead and get right into it because we have a hard stop tonight. So we'll go ahead and get right on into these notes and whatnot.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So, this week was the finale. And then coming up this week, the next time around, the next episode, we'll be into the reunion.
And it sounds juicy.
It does. Reunion. It sounds very juicy. It sounds very juicy. So we see on this episode, this finale episode, we open with the Bells still at Marie's celebration event. I think it's the Hamilton Davis celebration because, we know that her and her partner have opened up as Black women entrepreneurs. They've opened up one of the first opioid methadone treatment clinics down in Mississippi, down in Jackson, Mississippi. So all the Bells and other people have come out to help celebrate to this wonderful event. Right. And we see Taisha come in, and Tambra, surprisingly or not so surprisingly, quickly gets up and leaves the event, says her goodbyes, and she's out of there. What were your thoughts when you saw her get up so abruptly and leave, Alex?
It was very nasty when she left. I think her exit was unnecessary. I can understand her not wanting to be around a quote unquote other woman, but if this is a situation where this woman was involved with him while you guys were broken up, what's the problem? Because even Taisha said, listen, I don't understand what Tambra's problem is, because when I was seeing Greedy, she was engaged to another guy. So,
wow.
So I don't understand what Tambra's so angry about at this particular point in time. She's in some kind of a denial or whatever, but I think it was uncalled for. She could have hung out and stayed there. There was no reason for her to storm out like that and seem like the weaker woman, because that's what it made her look like. You're intimidated.
I did kind of think that at first, but then as the episode went on and as I thought about it a little bit later, going back to it, I think though that she actually may have done the better thing, because here's the thing. So how we are always talking on these recaps and reviews. We're always talking about how these brunches and luncheons turn into a hot, sloppy mess, right?
Yep.
Some of the women are upset, they're hollering, they're screaming, they're slamming doors, whatever.
Because they turn into a mess.
Sometimes. So I think that when you stop though and think about it, I actually maybe kind of on second thought or third thought, I think I might actually kind of agree with Tambra deciding to leave, because the thing of it is, why was Taisha really there? So if Taisha was there to celebrate, she hasn't been coming to these events. And I know Marie says that she decorates for her or she helps to plan these events, but she didn't really have to be there. She kind of came in late, made a dramatic entrance. And then once they got to talking about it, the ladies got to talking about it after Tamra left, she basically excused herself and she left too. So I'm not sure if she was really there to celebrate, I guess is my point.
She came
So,
because she was invited. I mean, Marie invited her. They've been working together for years, and I guess Marie wanted her there, for this big event.
For drama, perhaps, because
Yeah,
we
for
know
drama
Marie,
too.
because we know Marie is one of the main culprits of, speaking of brunches and luncheons going awry. We know Marie is one of the main culprits of that.
Yeah, and even Essie made a joke about that at the end of it and said, "Let's see, Marie did not ruin this one."
Right.
Just for the record, Marie did not ruin this one. So
Right. I think I have that in my next card. Right. Yeah. Essie May says that Marie she has ruined yet another brunch, or she hasn't in that case. You're right.
right.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the next note card. So later Latrice is chatting with her brother, where she's now staying apparently with her brother. She's moved out of her marital home from Cliff. Of course, they're having this big argument about whether she's pregnant or not. And if she's pregnant, whether or not what's going to happen with the baby. And so Latrice says that she sees her husband is not viewing her as his equal. And she wants to wait to have a child. She wants to have a child, but she wants to wait. And then, of course, her brother gives his take on the situation. What were your thoughts about Latrice saying that her husband doesn't view her as an equal? What were your thoughts about that?
Yeah, my first thought when I saw her brother, I'm like, he has some very strong features. I said, them eyebrows are very thick. They just caught my eye real quick because I wasn't sure if he had a unibrow or his eyebrows are very thick, but he has very strong features. Very strong features. Hey.
This has what to do with her husband treating her as an equal.
I'm just telling you what caught my eye as soon as the camera got on that scene.
Okay. All right. We're doing the short version here, so we don't have time for that.
Yeah, I just wanted to get that in there. See if anybody else in the chat noticed how thick his eyebrows were. But in any event, Latrice not feeling like an equal.
Feeling like her husband treats her
like an equal, right? Mm-hmm. I think he treats her like an equal, just not when it comes down to this baby thing. They're just going to be at odds about this baby thing. Cliff to me is a good dude, but Cliff is very rigid when he wants something. You can see that he's a very rigid man. Okay?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, he's a very rigid guy. He wants what he wants. He's lived a certain life. He don't come from where Latrice comes from. He deals with problems and issues and emotions and things like that different. Latrice had made a comment that if you don't worry, you're not human, or something to that effect. He's like, well, I don't worry. Worry for what? This kind of, so they come from two different worlds regarding how they deal with circumstances and situations.
Right. They're how they deal with issues and problems. Well, let's just say this. So we found out that Cliff comes from money and was left a lot of money and property and has been building on property since he was a young man. And he's now a mature man. He's older, significantly older than his wife, Latrice. Mm-hmm. So, but, I think that for me, I think that when people have money, have significant money, may not be a billionaire. I don't know if he's a millionaire. He may or may not be, but he's comfortable enough where if something happened to him, if he needs to take time off of work, if he wants to probably just retire early, he could. So I think that people like that, they have the luxury to look at life a little bit differently than those of us that need to go to work so that we can eat and pay our bills. They have the ability to look at things a lot differently because for them, they have the provision of safety and security, right?
Yeah, because one thing about having a lot of money or having a lot of surplus is that it frees your mind up a great deal. Your mind is not worried about the everyday financial struggles of, let's say, the average person, whatever that may be, right? So if you're an average, 8 hour, 40 hour a week, worker, typically you're worried about, okay, here come the rent coming up, here come the light bill, here come the water bill, how am I going to pay this cell phone? You worry about those things. And if you're a person that don't have those extra worries because you just don't worry about bills, you got it like that. It frees up your mind from stress. It also frees you up to be creative, to go and make more money and do other things and get involved in other endeavors.
Right.
And that's where Latrice is from. Latrice is from that worry side because she grew up poor and Cliff didn't. And
Right.
even she said, I want to be married to Zaddy forever, but you never know. So I got to make sure I'm good. Which I can respect that. She's not saying she want to sit on his money. I want to have my own.
Right. She does. She clearly does. She wants to be self-sufficient and be interdependent, but also independent at the same time, which I think that's part of the struggle, because I think it's almost virtually impossible to be independent and interdependent. In other words, the thing that a man wants, and we've talked about this on the show over numerous topics and numerous shows, is that men want the sense and the feeling that a woman needs them. But how can you need someone when you got everything all your own? You know what I'm saying? So I think there's an innate struggle there.
Yeah. I didn't believe her in the least when she said, I don't think I'm going back to Zaddy because he's not treating me well. You going back to Zaddy. Just cut the crap. You know what I mean?
I don't like that name. Can we just call him Cliff? I'm going to call him Cliff. I guess you call him Zaddy if you want.
I go back and forth. I
know. I know she says that. And then, and that's interesting. And we'll get to that in a minute, though, too. That, of course, Zaddy is a spinoff of Daddy.
Right.
But if you're going to call him Zaddy or Daddy, then no, we're going to get to that complaint that she has later on about him. Also, we'll get to that. Okay.
Right.
When what happens toward the end. So anyway, so we move on to Akeisha's stakeholders luncheon, which is gorgeous. I thought it was well appointed. There were beautiful flowers everywhere. The plates were clean.
There you go.
The plates were clean, and I think it looked like they were being served too. So it was no line. You just sat there and you just. Excuse me, you were being the people at the luncheon were being waited on, and the Bells were in full attendance. To their credit, everybody looked wonderful. Lakeisha, Letitia, Latrice, everybody, Marie, they all looked wonderful. Akeisha, of course, was lovely. Her husband was there, Willie. And then I said, well, why does it's later on, Letitia kind of implies that maybe that she thinks that Akeisha is trying to compete with her, and I don't know. Did you catch that in the scene? Did you catch that?
Yeah, I mean, she had even mentioned that Akeisha giving this big speech about what she's done with Ferris Street, and that she did it, and her family did it, and she's accomplished her goals, and her this and her that, and didn't mention Letitia at all. And Letitia kind of took that as a slight.
Yeah, she did. That was the other thing.
And Akeisha did say later on when the girls got together, I guess she kind of made up for it. But in that moment, the teacher was like, "Oh, so she's not going to mention me? Okay, all right, we good." Like that. So she kind of took it as a slight, and I could see how.
Oh, hey, Jeremy, I've been thinking about you and praying for you. I reached out to you, but I said I don't want to overwhelm you. How you doing? I really miss you. And by the way, I loved your video the other day on this. It was so wonderful, so wonderful. When you gonna come back up and join us? We got the reunion, and we've got RTL, your favorite. What you mean by Akeisha is it? Yeah, she is. She has got it going on, though. I agree with you. I've been saying that for a minute now.
This episode made me love her. What was it about this episode that made you love her, Jeremy?
Yeah. Give us a little more detail with that. Flesh that out a little bit. Flesh that out. Yeah.
Give us some tea.
Hey, yep. Hey, gamer bro. Hey, how you doing? Wait a minute. Jeremy says, I love a loyal thoroughbred. Oh, which one's the loyal thoroughbred? Which one? Even Roro has the same question as me.
Loyal thoroughbred. Wow, look at that.
But okay, so you were saying about Letitia and the comparison or the competition, and but
Yeah.
like you said later on, though, she did kind of at least kind of bend and say, well, you know what, this is cool. I mean, we're all trying to do the same thing, so I'm gonna have a be the bigger person. But I
Yeah.
was wondering, like, why are you thinking that she's competing? So everybody that puts on a brunch is competing with you, girl? Bye.
Yeah, all of them got to have a very competitive spirit about them. Letitia
Mm-hmm.
has a competitive spirit. Keisha definitely
Mm-hmm.
has a competitive spirit.
I
I mean,
just
her husband was a former NFLer, so you know they got a competitive spirit within their household.
Right.
Alone.
I
So
just think, but my thing is, it's one thing to be competitive, but I guess here's my thing. What my thinking is, I'm competitive with myself. I don't have to compete with other people because we're never going to be the same. You see what I'm saying? And they're going to always be people better than you and worse than you. That's the way I look at it. I mean, you think you reach the top, there'll be another pinnacle to reach, and that's fine. But I just don't see that. Like, if you're friends with somebody and you guys are in this same circle, what's the point of feeling like that's competition? This
I
lady was
mean,
having this event, and it was really about her celebrating the progress that she's made. And I'm not really sure why Letitia felt like she was entitled to be included in that, because clearly from the ups and downs that they were having that we've seen over the last few months of the show, clearly they were not getting along smoothly enough for her to, you know what I'm saying, to her, for her to bond and make her a part of what her and her husband were doing, you know?
yeah, me personally, I like competition. I'm a competitive guy. Competition doesn't bother me because it makes us better. It makes us strive to be better. Long as it's a friendly kind of competition, I mean, if you're in athletics, sometimes anger is good. Constructive anger is good in athletics to push you to the next level. So in that regard, I understand the competitiveness. Each and every woman wants to be the best she can be. If she can get a step ahead on the next one, and then the next one say, okay, she's a step ahead of me now, but I'm gonna strive to get ahead of her, and blah blah. I think that's a good thing. Is when it gets petty, when it gets petty, and they start
I,
trying to cut each other's throat
I
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of what I felt like that was. I felt like, I don't remember her exact words, and unfortunately, I didn't put them in my notes, but I felt like that's where she was going with that. I felt like, to Jeremy, to something he said in his recap, and you guys go over there if you haven't already caught Jeremy's recap. It is excellent. I laughed, I cried. I was at work and I just hollered. I had to catch myself. But I think he kind of points out too that it does seem like Letitia may be a little bit insecure around Akeisha, for some reason. And
Well,
that's where I don't really like that. I think that's where to me it does get petty. That's exactly what that is.
yeah, for me the reason could probably be I think Akeisha herself and Willie, I think they just have a little bit more money. They come from up north. They've been up north for like 10 years or so, living that New York kind of high life, NFL kind of high
Mm,
life.
I think even
um
longer than, well,
yeah,
he's
he's
from
from
New
there.
York, so
Yeah, he's from there.
he's not from Mississippi at all. And I
Right.
think in the later in the episode, I think Akeisha says she was there because I think she went away to college in New York, so I think she's been there for like 20 plus years too.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because she was there to appease her husband. She wanted to be there with her husband. That's why they had the conversation about, okay, now you coming to Jackson and be here for me now. You're retired. Come do for me now. So remember
That's
they had
right.
that whole conversation.
They did. You know what? Go ahead and read what Jeremy, he responded to our question when we asked him. Go ahead. Can you go ahead and read that? It's on the
Jeremy
screen.
Speaks TV says Akeisha called out the women for being messy with Tambra, even though Tambra and her butted heads. She didn't let that cloud her judgment and still emphasized and saw what was right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I think he's saying that he loves her, and rightfully so. Yeah, because I noticed that too. She did.
Mm.
She saw what was right, and she basically kind of said, "This is my group of women. These are my people." And even though Tamara and I don't agree about what was said and who said what and whatever what, that's a little dispute, but a disagreement. But she still says, these are my people, basically meaning the whole Bell Collective, all of the ladies, including Tamara. And so she, in protest, Taisha being at that event that Marie had earlier that we were just speaking about, she decided that she would gladly politely take herself out of that event.
Yeah. And you know
hey
what?
Jay, hey Jay, she's stopping by to show love. Go ahead,
Yeah.
go
And
ahead.
what kills me is that Tamra actually made a statement that she don't know who to trust, and that's just real. It's like you don't know who to trust. You're the one being conniving and backstabbing and telling secrets, and so how can you be the one saying you don't know who to trust? You can't be trusted. That's what I'm looking at it.
Oh, okay, okay. Jeremy also says, I'll read this one. Jeremy also says that Akeisha checked.
Layla.
You might want to mute that. Akeisha checked and dismissed Taisha like the middle-aged, thirsty, delusional side chick with bad pores that she is. Jeremy, you know what? Your reads are epic. She does have bad pores. She really does. Maybe we can recommend some skincare products for her or something next season, if she's gonna be around. He's terrible. He's terrible with those bad pores.
Yeah.
You're terrible. You are terrible, Jeremy. Those reads are epic. They are epic.
I'm sorry,
But,
Obi. My 12-year-old back there acting crazy. I forgot to mute screaming at her. So, sorry about that.
No problem. No
Yeah.
problem. Yeah, and right, Monique. Akeisha was triggered by the. Hey, you know what? And having been married to a NFLer, I'm sure. She's very familiar, whether with her husband or whether other NFL wives and
Oh yeah.
girlfriends. She's very familiar with this
I
whole side chick
I guarantee
concern
you.
and issue. And speaking of which, Alex is gonna we got a treat for you guys at the end. That's why we're gonna go ahead and work our way through this quickly, give it the zhuzh that we can, and move to we're gonna talk a little bit more about the Nia Long and what is it, Ime
Udoka.
Yeah, whatever, Ime. Okay. Yeah, Ime
Yeah.
to me.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Oh,
So okay, and so then Marie and Essie go out to look for Marie's mom, who has relapsed, has had a drug,
surprise.
has a has had a drug relapse, and we see, they take us in the van, this huge big white van, which stands out like a sore thumb right in the hood. But they're driving in this newer white van in this downtrodden area where her mother likes to frequent. And when they come across her, Marie seems fearless, by the way. She seems fearless while everybody else seems to have real serious safety concerns in this area and going up to these strange houses that someone, might take offense to that. They find the mom in the trap house. The mother comes out and tells Marie that she needs to leave ASP, but give me $30. Okay.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts about this scene? It was really kind of sad, though. I mean, it's comical reading it, just reading it from the cards, but it really actually kind of touched my heart, and it was sad. It was sad that her mom has been like that her entire life.
Yeah, and for me, I'm a little frustrated with Marie, although I have empathy for what she's going through. And the thing that frustrates me with her is that she has enough on her plate. Okay, she got this opioid center, which is a huge accomplishment for her and Essie.
Yes,
and this thing, she's dealing with lupus. She got a grown son home making babies. She's raising those children. She has a marriage and an estranged husband that's not going well, and she's dealing with that. She's dealing with these brunches with the rest of the Bells,
and we don't know what's going on with her and Essie. Could be lickety split.
There you go again. there you go again.
I'm just saying, allegedly. I don't know. Could be lickety split, maybe not. We don't know. Anybody out there got any word on it? Got any insight on it? Jeremy,
Jeremy, you out there in them streets? Let us know if it's lickety split.
But go ahead. You're saying you're frustrated. Yeah, I can get that.
Yeah, I'm a little frustrated because she don't need to have her mother's issues on her plate no more in her life at this point. I understand that's her mother. It's gonna always be her mother, but her mother has chosen the drugs before her daughter, before her family, before her own life. She has chosen these drugs. So if that's what she decides to do, regardless of who the person is, mother, father, brother, sister, whatever. Some people, you have to just let them be. And I know Marie went looking for her because she wants to know, is my mother dead or alive, and so forth. But if she is not alive at this point, when you go looking for her one day, she chose that. Okay, that's what she chose to do. And I've seen this ugly thing many times in my own personal life. So I know this just leads to nothing but more heartache for Marie. And then she comes out of the trap house. Her mother comes out of the trap house and want to hug and kiss Marie. It's like, you're not
And
kissing me.
why do you have a problem with that, sir?
You're not kissing me coming out of no trap house because I know what your mouth been on. That's number one.
Okay. And
I know what drug addicts do. We leave that alone.
We'll leave that. Yeah, we'll leave that right
then,
there.
Then she get to the curb with a typical drug addict request. Give me $30 so you can go buy more dope. Not with my money. I'm not giving you nothing. And then her mother just looks so worn out by this decades at this point, decades of abuse. Relapse, go back and do it. Relapse, go back and do it. So Aubrey, it sounds harsh, but me personally, I would just leave it to the streets. I wouldn't be bothered.
Yeah, I had to say, I get your empathy, but I just say, all that aside, I've been fortunate and blessed. I never had to deal with that. But I just still say that's her mother. That's her mother, and she's gonna do the best that she can do. And that's all you can do. That's the best she can do, is the best she can do with her mom. She obviously was trying to get her mom to get in the van so that she could get her to a treatment center, which probably really wouldn't have worked even if her mom had came in the van, because they've got to consent. These people, just because they are on something, a lot of these clinics and things, they still have to consent, right? Because they're adults. It's not like it's a child, it's an adult. She's an adult, and it's unfortunate, but
and you got to wonder Marie's level of comfort, in these ghetto neighborhoods, is because she's been doing this her whole life, chasing her mother in and out of ghetto neighborhoods and trap houses or whatever, trying to get her the help that she needs. Because you see how uncomfortable Letitia was. Letitia was kind of scared.
Everybody was. I thought, and Essie too. Essie, everybody seemed to be concerned, and the producers allowed her to wait 30 minutes, and they said, we got to go. We got to get up out of here.
Right.
And I know their neighborhoods. I think everybody, if you live in a major city and you're not in a very affluent suburb, most major cities, New York, Detroit, Chicago, Jackson, Mississippi, all of them have areas that are unseemly.
Right.
And I'm not gonna say I'm bougie, but I'm definitely not trying to ever go in those neighborhoods. I'm not trying to socialize. I don't, no. And I'm definitely not going up to no strange houses ringing no doorbells.
No, not doing that at all.
No,
so
we're not doing that.
Yeah, and that's why too. And that's the other thing. That's a great point, Aubrey, because Marie has too much responsibility right now to be putting herself in danger, unwarranted danger.
You know what? Yeah, because she's still got a little grandbaby that she's got to help finish raising, so she needs to be around for a good another 20 years plus. But we'll keep her in our thoughts and prayers, and we'll find out more at the reunion. So in the next scene, we see that Cliff has had a medical emergency while cutting down tree branches. He made a almost tragic mistake on his part. Anyway, Latrice comes to his aid. She picks him up from the hospital and brings him back to their home. And she's basically decided to move back in so that she can take care of him, because his arm is in a sling and he's definitely going to need, assistance, right? In his day-to-day living.
Yeah.
And so the two of them discuss the accident. And, I think this scene brings up a very valid point, that you never know when you see somebody when that might be your last time seeing them.
Yeah, true. That's true. That's why you have to be an advocate of, not being a I love you person at someone's funeral. You have to, you feel like you love someone while they're here, tell them, call them, tell them, go spend time with them, go visit, do these things, because the worst thing you can do is have a family reunion at a funeral. No one wants to do that. None of us are guaranteed the next moment.
I love that expression. People give people their flowers while they're here.
Right.
Give
Exactly.
people that from. Oh yeah, and you know what? Thank you, Monique. Thank you so much for putting up Alex's. Oh wow! Hey, you
No.
just made it to 99. It sounds like. Hey,
99.
hey, Edward Smart. If you're still here in Smart Aviation, would you do me a great big favor and go over to Magnetic Repellent? That is Alex, my co-host, my wonderful co-host here. That is his channel, his new channel, and he's just one subscriber away from 100.
Grinding. Thank you, Edward.
Wow. Wow, thank you. And
Thank you.
anybody else that's here, but I didn't mean to just single out, but Edward's my buddy, you know, as co-content creators. I know Jeremy Speaks is already subscribed to the channel. Jeremy, did you subscribe with both your channels? You know, your other one too?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so if
mean,
you guys that you have more than one account on YouTube, just go on over and give him that extra push over 100. Let's see if we can get him over 100 tonight, okay? And then
oh
we can celebrate the next time. Are you looking at it now? Let's
yeah,
see.
I think Edward just did it. He said whoop, he said 100.
Oh, wait a minute. Wow. Let me get I'm not on YouTube on my phone here. I have to use my phone to get over here.
Yeah, I think Edward just did it.
Awesome. Let me see. Let me see.
Yeah. But I
Awesome.
appreciate you guys for that.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys so much. You've been rocking with us for several months.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry
Yeah,
about that. I was trying to get, YouTube came on and I had my phone on mute, but I guess this other thing is not. I'm trying to click on your. It's
yeah,
giving.
Ellen,
Oh yeah, I see it.
you said
Woohoo! Woohoo! I see it. Thanks, Edward. Thanks, Jeremy. Second channel. Thanks,
Oh man.
Monique. Thanks,
Oh,
Jay, Roro, everybody. Thank you so much.
thanks
Yay!
guys. Thanks guys.
Thank you so much. And we're gonna we
Trust
got
me,
one more
it,
card, huh?
it means a lot, trust me. And then
Oh, absolutely.
Ellen says 99 problems, but a sub ain't one.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, Alex, Smart Aviation, who is also Edward. That's Edward. That's his other channel,
Yeah.
Edward Smart Aviation. You'll see the connection. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, awesome, awesome, great job, guys. Great job.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You can get in the chat there and send them.
Yeah. If I can, it's hard to get in the chat from my laptop for some reason. It's easier to do it from
Oh,
my phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, so anyway, we're gonna wrap this up. Well, the one other thing I wanted to say, so on this card, so this is what a question I wanted to talk about. So Latrice thinks that Cliff acts like a father figure, but why do you keep calling him Zaddy? Latrice, you need to go see
This is
somebody, sis.
contradiction. Yeah, it's
You're right.
contradiction.
It's a great contradiction. It's a great contradiction and it's hypocritical. You need to really go see somebody. The two of you need to maybe go to some marriage counseling because I think you guys have I can see the love. I really do. I feel like I see the genuine love. I see that when he was hurt, you came to be by his side and it didn't seem fake or phony. I see that he really genuinely cares about you, but he is overbearing, like Alex pointed out. When there's something that he wants, he can be overbearing. So what
Mhm.
I'd like to see is you guys to go to counseling to work on these things and how to communicate better. But also, you need to kind of really work through that issue of the daddy figure. Because
Mhm.
apparently, from what she's saying in earlier episodes, her daddy wasn't around for her. He wasn't
Right.
there for her. So you really have a lot of fear that's built into you, and it's based on your father, your absentee father, right? And
Mhm.
you got to get past that. You really just got to get past that. I feel like so.
And I
Uh,
think I think Cliff got to get past this thing of this conditional love if she has a child or not. He got to get past that because for me that's conditional. It's not unconditional love. You know.
mm-hmm,
So his thing. Oh, if you don't have my child, I don't know if the marriage is going to last or whatever.
mm-hmm.
If you leave by all this. You have 5 children, my dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Now that's another thing. It's not like it'd be different if maybe he didn't have any children or just one other child or something like that. But I mean, I think I guess I don't know what the two of them. And I go back to this because that's something when we get her on the show or get them on the show. I would really like to know from her if she wants to talk about it. Of course, it is a very personal question, but I mean, I just want to know: did you guys ever discuss having children before you got married or early on in the marriage, and what was that discussion like?
Mhm.
Because seems like we shouldn't really be here if you guys have had the necessary conversations early and upfront while you were dating, while you were engaged to be married, and you knew you were going to be married. So this is what engagement periods are for, to find out things and to suss out things and to decide things. So I don't really understand it.
Right. I don't either. I don't. Yeah.
Jeremy, yeah, that's the whole thing. I'm not going to read that whole thing, but we see what Jeremy has to say about that. And
Right.
and we know, I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of get it. I've been, I've been there. But I get it. I don't think there's a whole nother side to that. So I guess you could say role playing. Let me just say that. Okay. But High Vibe says Cliff wants a baby so that he can control her. Yeah. He'll have grandchildren closer. Yeah, he probably
That's true.
already does. He probably already does.
Because I do. You know what I mean?
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Mm.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Yeah.
I keep, like I said, I can hold water and I can keep a confidence, and I also don't like to throw things in people's face because I darn sure don't like them doing it to me. But
Right.
yeah, I was just thinking of you and some other people I know too that are similar.
Yeah, similar situation. So, but yeah, I agree with High Vibe. He wants to control her with a baby, and he also wants to do something with her before any other man has an opportunity to do it. That's the other thing.
You think because she doesn't have any children? Oh, is
Right.
that what it is? I
Right.
never thought about that part of it. That could be. I never thought of it that way. I don't know. Jeremy says, and then we're going to go to the last card. Jeremy says all he saw was a young, beautiful woman who was supple, 20. Okay, Jeremy. Never mind.
He right, Aubrey.
Oops,
The man is right. The man is right. What do you want?
Whatever. I didn't even read it all, so I couldn't tell you if he's right or wrong.
He's right. He's right.
Well, I mean, but so and what's your point? At least my thing is, but Jeremy, I gotta say this. Okay, as much as we're talking about what you're saying, right? That may very well be true, but I gotta say this. I gotta stick up for Cliff. Here's the thing: he married her. Okay, he didn't play games with her, use her up, abuse her, make her 10, 12 years a girlfriend and a fiance. He married that woman. Okay, so I tip my hat and give respect where respect is due, because he did the right thing. He married her. He committed to her.
That's true.
He committed to love her for the rest of his life. And he put his full force and weight of his finances and everything on the line and married that woman. So I give him respect. I got to give respect where respect is due. That's how I feel about it, because there are a lot of men that want to play with young women, but many of them aren't trying to marry. And that goes for men the same age as women, right? A lot of men out here want to play all day and don't want to do nothing else. And a lot of women that are silly enough to allow these men to allow them to make them 10 years and 12 years a girlfriend and a fiance with nothing out of it at all. Okay. So I give credit where credit is due on that. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, Monique had an interesting comment you just had up.
I'm sorry.
She said Cliff married a broken woman. He never expected her to even be financially stable without him. Now he feels tricked.
Oh, now that's a good point. That's a good point right there. Now that's something I hadn't considered either. I never thought about that, because you're right. When he married her, she was young, and she like Alex and I pointed out, and you're saying, she didn't come from wealth like he did. She didn't come from wealth, but she had an idea. She put something, and that may be the reason, to your point, Monique. I just thought about something like I was telling Alex last week. Originally Cliff did not financially support her business. Now he supports her in terms of he takes care of her, provides a beautiful home. We all know that, right? Beautiful car. She has all the accoutrements of a woman who has a wealthy husband, an affluent husband. But as far as when she needed money for her business, I remember her saying, at least on 2 episodes, that he did not financially provide the money, even though he had it. She had to go out and get loans and struggle, right? So to your point, you may have a very good point that he never expected her to be successful like that.
And what she started with, a measly $300 or something like that. She said
something like that, $250, $300.
Yeah, he couldn't give her that, really. So, yeah.
No, I think it was after. No, I would believe she's saying not the $200 and $300. I think she's saying after the company grew, when she needed more funding. Because when you have a business and you have to have product, you have to stock it. You've got to pay the distributors. You got to pay the manufacturers to create the product, right?
Yeah.
So they're not just giving it to you on your good looks or your business plan. You've got to have either go out and get a loan, or you've got to have that money available so that they can give it to you.
You grow, your expenses, your overhead grows. You
Right, and then
know.
she had to rent a business. She had to rent a
Mm.
building because she started selling it out of her car. But you can't. How long can you do that for? You know, eventually you have to get some kind of brick and mortar, or at the very least have a place that will, you know, send it out if you're just doing an online business, right?
Right.
But with hair, with something that specific, women are going to want to touch it,
Touch
see
it,
the
feel it.
color.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
we're not
it.
going to order that stuff online just like, you know, just because. No,
Yeah.
that's very much something you have to touch and feel. But we'll go to the next and final slide. So then we see, I think, or maybe it's one. Oh no, yes, just this one more. Latrice takes the pregnancy test, and we know that it turns out that she's it's negative, right? We get to the marriage counselor who comes in to counsel both. On the next scene, a marriage counselor comes in to counsel both Letitia and Glenn on their marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn actually has the audacity to say that he hurts more than she does.
Mm.
Can you believe this man?
Yeah, I believe it. I believe
What?
it because
What?
he still listen, and we teach people how to treat us, right?
Yep.
And she's been having this fantasy in her head since she's been 17 years old. He still think he got
Was
this 17-year-old brain that was made of mush. He still thinks she has that now in her mid 30s or however old she is now. Okay. He still think he has that. And he just gotta, kick some game or say some things. And I get tired of people throwing around the depression word, like it's a game. You
right, right, right.
why are you depressed? Because you got caught? Because she left home? You're not depressed over that. You running game because, and then they go through the whole session, and not once did we see the woman and the child during the whole counseling session. Letitia is crying about coming into her own womanhood and
Hmm.
how she's afraid of being in love with him. She loves him, but she's afraid of being in love with him. And he comes over there trying to console her and everything, which doesn't look genuine to me.
It doesn't.
Okay.
It
Doesn't look
really
genuine
doesn't.
to me at all. He just, doing that for the cameras or the therapist or whoever he's doing it for, but it's really not that genuine.
Mm-mm.
So, but I just think she has to break out of this mold, Aubrey, of this 17-year-old. That's why she kept really reiterating, I'm growing into my own woman. I'm coaching women how to grow into themselves, and I'm becoming the best woman of myself that I can be, and so forth, because she's trying to prove to everybody she's breaking this mold of this 17-year-old brain that was made of mush. Now she's a well-developed woman, rounded woman, and she wants to go to the next level. The question is Glenn ready to go to the next level with her?
Right, right, exactly. And that's the thing. That's he's not. He's not. He's not genuine in his apology. He's not genuine. And one of the things I got to say this real quick, and I know I want to wrap this up quickly, but one of the things I got to say is I'm noticing a pattern in whether it's Married at First Sight, which we cover here as in the panel on Sundays at 4:30, whether it's Married at First Sight, whether it's sometimes Ready to Love, or even like this show, Belle Collectives. One of the things I notice is these experts and counselors, whether they're male or female, they oftentimes want to ask the woman all the questions, and they want the woman to make all the changes and bend backwards and bend over and do this and all kinds of things. But I never heard in the session, I never heard the counselor addressing him. I never really heard him addressing his infidelity. He did at one point say, "Well, that can never happen again," as if
Mm,
that really meant something. I needed to hear Glenn speak more on that. I needed
mm.
Glenn to open up and really bare his soul and be vulnerable. I
You
needed him
know,
to do that. But we know that he's not going to do it and he's not going to mean it. And we'll just fast forward though, because there's a lot we can say on this, but we want to save
yeah,
time for this other topic.
yeah,
Yeah, Glenn. So it says at the end that she ends up moving back. We see her in a scene with her mom talking about, she wants to try to make her family work. She's packed up the boxes. She moves
right,
back in with Glenn. And at the very end, they put the little subtitles and they say, well, even after she moved in, unfortunately, shortly thereafter, she finds messages with various other women. And it
right.
said women as in plural.
Yep, he's
So,
texting
you
women
know,
again.
he's
You
a
know,
he's a whole whore. He's a
mm,
whole whore is all I can say.
mm. Why go? Because again, that's the cycle they've been living in. Just that this time was a little bit more challenging because she's never left home before. So he just found it to be a little bit more challenging. But
That's all.
there was no doubt in his mind that he could win her over yet
He could
again.
get her back. Exactly, because that's what he's been doing since they were 17. You're right.
Right.
It's a big old pattern. It's a big old ugly pattern. And I don't think she really sees it for what it is, and that he's not going to change. He's not going to change. And just like we were talking about control, clearly all Glenn wants is control over her body and control over her, because as you pointed out, as a man, he doesn't want to see her sleeping with anybody else. But let's move forward to Nia. Let's talk about Nia.
Right.
Yeah, let's talk about Nia. What are your thoughts about the Nia Long? And guys, hop in there. I know you've heard about this topic about Nia Long. Tell everybody what's going on with that, so it's kind of fresh your memory in case they haven't heard.
Yeah, Ime Udoka is a former NBA player, played for the San Antonio Spurs. He's now the Boston Celtics head coach. They went to the championship series last year, but now he's embroiled in this controversy where he's been sleeping and fraternizing with an employee of the Boston Celtics, which is against policy. Okay. Now we know he and Nia Long have been together for 12 years. They have a 10-year-old child and everything. So right now they're trying to find out who the woman is. They saying it may be the senior vice president's wife who's been sleeping with him, who's a white woman, been sleeping with him all this time, allegedly, right? And everything. And Nia and everybody's getting on Nia Long about being 12 years a girlfriend and having a child and not being married and so forth. So there's a lot of layers being uncovered almost daily with this situation. So, if you guys have anything to say about that while we're on this for this short period, please chime into the chat.
Right, absolutely. And furthermore, also, so that people know, Alex has been following this story as it unfolds. Alex has been following this on his channel on Magnetic Repellent. So you've done how many videos thus far on this topic, and you're going to continue to keep the viewers apprised of what's going on.
Actually, I've done one 18-minute video, and I've done a short as well on it. And I actually completed a video today that I have to edit and upload. So that should be done tonight. So I have a new video I just did. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So it's just interesting stuff how no matter what your economic ladder is, that we're all subject to fall prey to these to these things, to these trappings of life, so to speak.
Well, the weak and the undisciplined, for sure. The weak and undisciplined person for sure will fall prey to this. But
I mean, but would it matter, Aubrey, if she's 12 years a girlfriend or an actual wife? He cheated, is the bottom line.
Oh, no. I'm not saying that part, but I was just talking about him in this particular case, this instance, or any person that's a cheater. I guess my thoughts on it from the little bit I know about it, and I've been trying to follow it and catch up on it. My problem with it is with him, it's bad enough that he's a cheater, pumpkin eater, and apparently, has no peen control. Because I talk about this all the time. I mean, that's a lack of character right there. That's a very big lack of character. But my problem with it doesn't matter whether they're married or whether they're supposedly in a committed relationship. My biggest problem with it is that I'm finding out from another source that allegedly that he did not let her know, even though he knew about this investigation by his team as early as July. This is now late September, and this story just broke maybe a week ago. He's known about this. So my problem with it is, if it's true, is that he did not tell Nia. He did not sit her down. And I think that as big a coward and a cheat as he is, I think that he owed her to be courageous enough, even though whether she yelled, screamed, cursed him out, slapped him, whatever, whatever she was going to do to him, he should have taken that, because he owed it to her to sit her down and have an honest, forthright conversation that this was about to happen so that she would be prepared. But instead, he let her move to Boston and go house hunting as if nothing was going on, and he knew about this. So that's where I really think that's the lowest of low. I mean,
and allegedly he became a stalker of the woman because she wanted to end. This is all allegations because the story's still unfolding.
Right.
But
Yeah.
supposedly he was stalking his what black people have penned his Becky. That's what we call white women now. His Becky. If she ain't Becky, she's Karen. But they're calling this particular woman his Becky. He became obsessed with her and didn't want to take no for an answer and wanted to continue the affair and so forth. But he found this out right after the Celtics championship run, when they lost the series and the series was
Mm-hmm.
over. He found out right after that it was sprung, but he let it ride all the way until a week ago when the whole Nia Long found out with the rest of the world, more or less. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's unfair. If you're caught and you're caught, it's going to come out, then you just have to sit your spouse down and say, listen, this is the deal. It's coming for us. We'll decide what to do about our marriage or relationship later on. But I wanted you to be protected because it's coming our way because I'm a high profile figure. You just got to do that. If you care
Mm-hmm.
anything about her, you have to do at least that. You know what I mean? Because she's blindsided, then she gets broken, and then she's caring for your child. You got to try to protect that situation. I respect Shaquille O'Neal so much for coming out and saying that he was who he was, and he don't blame Shawnee O'Neal, his first wife, for anything. He was a
Right. I was gonna say
he,
that's his first wife, right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he was a chronic cheater. He was
Ooh,
habitual.
I didn't know that.
Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
he can't judge Ime Udoka because that would be hypocritical. So he's not going to do that. But he know what it cost him, and the price was very high. Shaq said he paid for all that infidelity. The price was very high, which means he ruined and destroyed his family.
Wow, we've got some really great comments. I want to not to interrupt you, but
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy is saying Nia is the one. Oh, really? Okay, so Jeremy's trying to give us some information. He's saying that Nia is the one who didn't want to get married. I've noticed the black '90s beauty struggle finding partners. The only exception is Jada Pinkett, but of course she's miserable in her
Yeah.
marriage, allegedly.
Yeah.
And then High Vibe gives a response. Thank you, High Vibe. The Gen X stars are a reflection of the reality of black women over 40. I would venture to say, now I'm just going to interject here, that black women over 25, I think
Mm.
that black women are now more and more becoming a little more delusional about their options if they're only going to date black men. I really do. I've had this conversation. That's my opinion. You may not
Mm-hmm.
agree. People may not agree. I understand that. But I think that if black women at 25 and older are only looking for if the ones that are serious about marriage and about creating a family, I'm not talking about the ones that's just out here slinging their stuff too. Okay. That's whatever. I don't really care about that. But black women that are 25 and older, if they're only going to have black men as partners, I think they're very delusional in the idea that there is a shortage of suitable and emotionally available partners. And that's what High Vibe is saying, that for black women over 40. But I would go as low as to say, as far down as to say that even at 25 and 26 and up, black women who are only dating black men, there is definitely a shortage of suitable, financially, emotionally, and intellectually available partners in the black male pool. I would say
Mm.
that.
Mm.
Monique says, yeah, and this, thank you, because this is something I just got wind to this right before we went
Yeah.
on
I
the
was going
air.
to mention this too.
How do you feel about them saying that they are devout Christians and will seek counsel through the pastor to work this out, but won't get? Girl, we're gonna have to. You know what? We're gonna come back. Alex, you want to come back and talk about this maybe on a later date this week, because
Yeah.
this needs to be talked about like a whole separate conversation. I'm glad we just kind of delved into it to see if there was interest, and certainly there appears to be. Um, Monique, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I was just watching another. I think it's Layla Lynn. Shout out to Layla Lynn, very big YouTuber that's covering this topic. I don't agree with that. I don't agree that. I think that, maybe it's from my perspective of growing up in Church of God in Christ, which is sanctified church. I don't know of anybody that would call themselves a devout Christian and they're not married and yet they're still having no,
You
no.
know, you see this all the time, and I'm
That's
really
not
tired of
that's not
people.
that's not accurate. And,
Yeah.
and and well, before you jump in, one last thing, and I want to say this, Monique King, too, because what I also don't agree with, I don't agree, and again, I'm from the church world. I don't agree though with people going to counseling with pastors. I think when you want to go to real counseling, I think go ahead and get yourself somebody that's certified, board registered. And I know that there are pastors that actually do have counseling degrees and therapy degrees, but I say go get you somebody separate from your pastor. I don't agree with that, because oftentimes what you find is in the church world that men specifically and particularly, and even women, will just basically tell you the same thing what we saw tonight, what we saw this week with Glenn and Letitia. Stay with your man, stand by your man. And that's a load of bunk. If you got
And
a no good man like that, don't do it. But go ahead, Alex.
yeah, and you just know, I just this bothers me about people when they want to hide behind their faith. They want to do all this dirt in the dark. They don't say anything about how devout they are. They don't live that way. They don't preach that. They don't spread the word. Nothing. But as soon as all this stuff that's in the dark come to light, now they want to run and
Yeah.
hide behind their faith.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
I've never heard her say she was a devout Christian before, and I'm not saying, because nobody knows but God. It's between her and God, and it's between him and God.
I don't like the hypocrisy, Aubrey. That's what I
I'm
don't
not
like.
right. I'm not the judge, but I'm with you. I agree, because and I followed her, and I've known. I was telling Alex, he talked about the movies that she was in. I was like, but she was a star when she was a kid. She was a star. If anybody can recall the soap opera that she used to appear on, I can't remember the name of the soap opera, but I've been watching her since she was a kid. Okay, since she was a little kid. But I've never heard her talk in any of her interviews about being a devout Christian. Not
Right.
saying that she is not, but like to what Alex's point is, what he's saying is that why wait till now to all of a sudden claim your Christianity? I'm a Christian and I talk about it. I know I'm not famous, but I talk about it. I'm not gonna hide it. I don't run around just with a C on my forehead and talking about it all the time, because I think that people should see by the way you live your life, they should see that you're a believer, you're a Christian. We call it in my community, we call it believers. But
Right.
but that you never say anything at all about it, that does seem kind of a little odd.
Yeah, it seems like
But now you want to come out and say that you are, and this idea that to what Monique is saying, how is it that you're saying you're a devout Christian, but yet you're not married, but yet I don't know. I don't know what's going on in their bedroom, but it doesn't bode well. It
well,
doesn't bode.
it's sort of like the epitome of hypocrisy. It's like someone who raises hell their entire life. They say they live to be 90 years old. They've been a
Hmm.
hell raiser their whole life, right?
Hmm.
Now they're in hospice on their deathbed, and now they want to call for Christ because they want to try to get in the gate now. Oh, Lord, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I claim my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Because now you want to get in the gate. You've been a hell raiser for 90 years. But you think it's just that easy now because a pastor or someone told you that's all you have to do, and you'll just waltz in the gate. I don't subscribe to that theory at all.
Look what Jeremy's saying, because they were having a whole conversation while we were up here talking.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy's saying, how y'all Christians but shacked up and fornicating. Exactly, Jeremy. And believe you me, I'm not saying as a believer myself, I'm not saying that we as Christians and we as believers that we are faultless, that we are sinless, because that is absolutely incorrect. Um, but for you to keep committing the same sin, for you to keep doing it year after year after year, like,
Yeah.
mm-mm,
Yeah.
mm-mm. High vibe. Um, agreed, Aubrey. The struggle for younger black women is that they want black children. So, well, guess what, high vibe? If you're black, the way I see it and the way America sees it, we know this. If you're black and you have a child with whomever, your child's still gonna be black.
Yeah,
I
that's
got
true.
one myself, and she's still black. She's still
The
black.
we're the dominant gene pool, so that's what happens.
Lord, not Miss Aubrey calling me. Oh, well, I mean, really, you know what? And I want to have a whole conversation about that. I think that there is some level of delusion. Not saying you specifically, but you know how I feel about this, Monique. We've kind of talked about this a couple of episodes ago on RTL, when who was it? Swayze. Swayze was found out to have been dating for 3 years 9 black women. And
Right.
my question is, why are black women so worried about it? Get out there and do what you need to do. Why are we sitting up here twiddling out there and waiting for the black man to come back home, if that's so called what it is?
Mm.
Because even in the situation with Neil Long, who was he? Um, with who was he cheating with? We see what that turned out to be, right? Come
Right.
on now. Let black women need to quit pretending like black men aren't dating and marrying every other race of women aside along with black women. Not saying that black men don't marry black women, they do. But if you start to look at the numbers, anybody ever, cause see, I'm a statistic person. I'm a numbers person and I'm a realist. So like if you ever stop and look at the United States Census and you see the numbers rising. And here's the thing about it that black women maybe don't understand or don't know or they don't care. I don't know which one it is. But black women are the only group, the last demographic racial group, ethnic group that will not date outside their race by and large. And why is that? What's the point and what's the purpose?
Mm.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they off the chain in the in the chats. I see.
No, Jeremy, I do. Yeah, no, I do. That was old school Kojic, but I mean, for a long time, I didn't wear makeup. We could wear like maybe like a clear lip gloss. I could tell you stories. We got to talk about that one day too. That
Yeah.
was my mother though, and that's so funny. I got to tell this story real quick. My mom. When I gave birth, she was there for both my children, both times when I gave birth. That was the only time in over 40 plus years of knowing my mom. She passed away when I was in my 40s. Those are the only two times I've ever seen my mother in pants. Because so in the hospital that we were in, any person coming into the birthing room has to be in sterile scrubs, right? So they gave her these scrubs, which included the pants. But no, my mom never, ever, I never saw her wear pants ever in her life. I don't care how cold it got here in Michigan. She did not wear pants. No way, no how. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff we didn't do in the Church of God in Christ. You were absolutely right. That's what I say. So I don't know. Like, I go to Baptist churches and people are drinking wine, not in the church necessarily, but afterwards, or they're partying. A lot of things that we did not do growing up. So
Right.
kind of like to that maths, like when they talk about the young lady Lindy. When she talks about her 7-day Adventist background, it was kind of sort of like that. It was very restrictive, but over the years, the Church of God in Christ has relaxed a lot of those rules. They have relaxed a lot of those rules. That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait
Yeah.
a minute. What you say, Monique? Monique? Are you talking about Nia? Is that in parentheses or
No, she talking
quotation?
about herself.
I
She
don't
talking about
know.
herself.
I don't know. I don't believe that. I don't believe my
Monique talking about
Monique.
herself.
I don't believe my sweet innocent Monique. My moderator extraordinaire. There is no way. There is
Yeah,
no way.
yeah, yeah. Monique, if that's you, hit me in the DMs.
High Vibe says black women are race loyal to a fault. Exactly. And for what purpose is what I'm trying to understand. Because let it have a purpose. Let everything we do have a purpose and a reason.
Yeah,
A
we just said I agree. A
reasonable
mixed
reason.
child with a black parent is still black. We
Yeah.
just mentioned that.
Um no, no, no. Oh, okay. Let me read it though. It's promoted like propaganda. Exactly. And I think also it is the fault of men because I've run into, including this one over here to some degree, but not as bad as other black men that I've run into. I think black men subtly and not so subtly promoted. I know when I've been out on dates with Caucasian men, black men nearly flip their lid. I got a tall, handsome, good looking Caucasian brother and they're just like giving me shooting me the daggers, whereas me as a woman, as a black woman, when I'm out in this reverse and I see a black man with a white woman, I don't care. I barely notice them. I'll speak, like I speak to everybody. Like, what's the big deal? I really don't care. um, and so she says, I agree. A mixed race child with a black parent is still black. I hope more young women begin to cast a wider net. Right, right, exactly. What is it that Swayze said? What is it he said? What was the words he used? He said opening his horizons,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Expanding his horizons.
expanding his.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
really do think so because I feel like, and then there's another. I think there's a whole nother level to it, and I was thinking about it, and I said this is kind of sad, but again, this is me as a believer. I don't understand how people that say they're believers or Christians, how they don't see other people as spirit people, right?
Hmm.
So we realize if we say we're believers, if we're so-called Christians, you do realize that a person is not their skin color. they're actually their inside, they're actually their character, they're actually their will, they're actually their spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we say that and we truly believe that, then how is it that we get it all twisted when it comes to dating, and we got to look at somebody's race, we got to look at somebody's skin color? That's
Mm.
weird to me. That's so weird.
Yeah.
um oh wait, one or two more, and then we're going to get off of here because I was trying to be off by 8. I have something I've got to take care of. Uncle Uncle Kev Samuel says 88% of black men are married to black women, while 96% of black women are married to black men, but less than 30% of black women will marry in their lifetime. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like I've had I've had no shortage of marriage proposals in my life. I'll say that. Okay. I've had no shortage from black or white men, from Hispanic men, right? So again, I just don't see why someone, a young woman who wants to be married, not talking about the one that wants to play in the street and be the thought, do your thing, thought. But if you want
Mm-hmm.
a husband, why you would limit yourself to just black men? It does not make sense, because we know that there's a high percentage of black men that are incarcerated. We know that there's another percentage of black men that really won't even date black women, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just a whole lot of various different reasons. Of course, not all black men are straight and want
Right.
to be married. Okay. But I find that when you go out and you look in other communities, or you allow other communities to come to you and talk to you and date you, you find out that a lot of these other men are very serious, because they've been raised in a culture that appreciates and values what the benefits of marriage are. That it's a contractual agreement, that it's a legacy, that it's about building up strong children. A lot of other men believe in that. So I really don't understand black women. I really don't. I'm gonna say it, and I'm a black woman, and my friends are black women, but I really, by and large, the concept that black women are so skewed on this whole thing of only dating black men and only marrying black men. And then I got so many single girlfriends that have never been married, never had any children, and now they're like 50, 60, and they're kicking themselves. I'm like,
Mm.
you did it to yourself. You did
Yeah.
it to yourself, because when you started at the game at the beginning of the race at 25, all you had to do was go look at the statistics of the number of black women that are going to be married in their lifetime. And you see that it's very low, like to what Monique is saying, maybe 30% or less.
Yeah, I
That's a
know.
very low percentage.
Yeah, I know a lot of black women, even in my personal circle, upper 60s, early 70s, never married, never had any children. You know.
Really?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Waiting for Mr. Right, waiting for Mr. Perfect to come along or whatever, and not expanding their horizons, as you say. So, you know.
That's a very good question. How Vibe even says about statistics, because I tell you, statistics are a real thing, and I know people say they can be skewed. So I would get, if you want to do your research, I say pull them from more than one website, for
Mm-hmm.
sure, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, don't say that. I didn't read that before I put that up. I'm sorry.
Good job.
Uh, well, you know what?
Mm,
Yeah, you know what? Now, you know what? Don't pick with Monique now. That's her.
mm,
That's her feeling. That's
mm.
that's her opinion. And I did a whole little short thing when he passed away. Like, you know what?
Mm.
That person, I may not agree with his concepts and thoughts, but he was still a human being and still a person.
Right. Well,
So,
because all the celebratory nonsense that went on was uncalled for, you know.
anyway, unfortunately, they're true. That's why. I'm with you. What? Oh, Jeremy, get out of here with that. Get out of here. We ain't gonna do that to our Monique. And I know she's your moderator too. So don't even go there. Don't even go there. Is there any safe comment left to put up on the air? I know Robo would never say. I know Robo would never offend anybody. Alex,
Oh Lord,
replay that.
Alex, what was up with the mama who came out of the door at the trap house?
You
What
have
was
to
up?
catch the
Yeah,
replay,
catch the
Roro, because
replay. Yeah,
we're about to
we
get
addressed that.
we're about to get out of here. We love
Yeah.
you, Roro. We're really not trying to be mean, but I absolutely have somewhere. But guys, we want to thank you. You guys have been wonderful as always. I appreciate you sticking around to the end. Those of you that are here, catch the replay. We did talk about for a good 15 minutes, and Alex has agreed. We don't know when yet. We don't have a date set, but we're gonna come back and we're gonna kick it and talk about some more about this Nealon. What's that guy's name again? Ime?
Ime Udoka. Yeah, we're gonna let some more stuff develop, and then we're gonna come and do a podcast on it.
Right. But we want to thank you guys for being here, as always, being supportive. We want to thank our AT members, Monique, Ellen, and Roro. We want to thank Jeremy. We want to thank everybody, Jay, for being here, Edward Smart, and those of you who joined Jay, not Jay from another round, but Jaye. Have you had a chance to go over to Alex's new channel, Magnetic Repellent? Yes.
And thank you guys for getting me to
Thank you.
100 on this
Yeah,
podcast.
over. I looked at it. It's over. It's over 100.
Woo-wee. All right.
Yeah, I am so proud of you, Alex. Alex has been grinding and working really hard to get his channel up and get it going. But guys, Alex, you want to say goodnight?
Yes, I do want to say goodnight. Thanks again. I should have a new video up tonight. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, and we'll see you in the next video, guys. We're out.